live tonight?
I think
We haven't said we're live?
it says live.
I can't tell. It says live. I think, hey guys, welcome into Science and Stories tonight. It says that we're live. It's good to have us. Awesome in here. Thank you. I think we are live. Like it. We're running. It's timing. Sorry for the confusion. I am Ken. Welcome in tonight. And I am here with the beautiful Dr. G. Got some great guests that are here tonight. And so I'm so excited as we get in here. If you're stopping by or maybe somebody's invited you, and if you were invited here, it's because the person that invited you cared about you. We are going to be talking about science. We're going to be sharing stories, and we're going to be talking about a natural protocol called the Feel Great System that is all about a simple way to help you get healthy. And so if you are in that place, like so many, and it is 2026 and you are ready and you've made a resolution to get healthy, this is going to be an awesome place for you. Now, many of y'all know me, you're coming by here. And if you're wanting to share this with somebody, if you're on Facebook, type the @ symbol and their name. So type @Ken Hagler or @Dr. Lauren Gagliano and share it. No reason to share it with us. We're already here, but that's the deal. So Dr. G, it's good to see you. Not like I haven't seen you today, but we've been doing our busy world today back and forth, right?
I know. We hardly get to see each other when we're busy, even though we work from home. We're on separate sides of the house. And so that's a healthy relationship, don't you think?
So absolutely. So Tanya Lee, yeah, it has a little bit of choppiness. I've noticed that. We've been talking about that a little bit tonight. Part of it is you got to remember we are in the last frontier. So we are up in Alaska. We are plugged in and we are running. So let it settle in a little bit as we get started tonight. So I'm glad that you guys are here. And so it's starting to smooth out. Awesome. Very good. So y'all go ahead and start sharing that and letting people know that we are live. Now, I am Coach Ken. I'm also known as the Wellness Preacher because I'm a pastor. I've been doing that for 30 years. And I reversed my type 2 diabetes because of this wonderful lady right here that introduced me to the system. And I learned all about this. Now, I've had food allergies. I've had migraines. Those of y'all know me, I have ischemic optic neuropathy. I had a stroke in my optic nerves. And it had everything to do with heart disease. What I've learned is the root of that was something called insulin resistance. And when Dr. G was able to reverse hers, she shared how she did it with me. Now, Dr. G, you've had an incredible experience because as a provider, you've got a whole level of experience that most of us don't have. Would you share a little bit about that?
Sure, of course. Well, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Lauren Gagliano, and I have been a dentist for over 30 years, a general dentist. And my patients that were coming to my practice, I noticed that they were on more and more medications, but they were getting sicker and sicker and sicker. And we were diagnosing periodontal disease, gum disease, caries, and things like that. And it was getting worse and worse and worse, and we couldn't get it under control. And so I knew something was going on. I decided to learn about metabolic health, but I also it wasn't before I was diagnosed with prediabetes, and so I thought to myself, "What the heck? What's going on?" And so I reached out to a friend of mine, and she shared this protocol that we're going to be talking about, and how you can naturally help reverse your chronic conditions. And I, looked it up, and I'm like, "Well, I'll give it a try," and I did. And that was 2 years ago. In 2024, January, actually, I started the protocol in February of 2024, and it has been life-saving. And I've been able to save the lives of patients, family members, friends, my husband. And it's all naturally without medications, and was able to get off medications. And I saw a lot of my patients do the same thing.
That is so awesome. Now, tonight, I am really pumped because we've got some special guests that are going to come in, and we're getting ready to bring on Kendra Kopp, and David Whitmire. And these are folks that have great stories, and you're going to hear from them here in just a second as I bring them on. And let's see if we can pop them into the room here. We're going to get a little space. There's Kendra. Welcome in. And
Thank you.
David, we're getting David on. There it is.
Can y'all hear me?
We can hear you, David. Awesome. Awesome. So glad to have you guys on tonight. So glad that you are here.
Thank you.
Great to have you. So I think with the way this is set up, I'm going to change our format just a little bit. Let me see if I can go. I like that. I wonder if we can get all four of us up together. Well, nope, that's not what I know. David doesn't want that one. There we go. There we go. Kendra.
Yes.
Hey, let me start with you. So tell us a little bit about is it about this protocol blew you away?
Well, I would have to say I'm just going to give you a few of them, but I've dealt with IBS for over 10 years to the point where if I would go out to eat or even eat at home or my daughter's home cooked meals, my IBS was so bad that I used to literally have to find a restroom about 40 minutes after I would eat. And so that limited like travel and all sorts of stuff like that for not like the last year and a half, because I started this on May 16th of 2024. So about a year and a half prior to that, I just struggled with that. And the other one is, I would have to say anxiety, depression, and ADHD were real big for me when I was younger, and that subsided. So those are my two biggest things, to be honest with you.
Right.
And chronic fatigue. When my daughter said to me, "Mom, is that all you're going to do is work and sleep?" And I'm like, ew, okay. I hear you.
That put in perspective, right?
Yeah. Real quick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You're kind of new. I know, Dr. G, I've kind of known Kendra a little bit. David, you're kind of new to us. So tell us a little bit about you and your story. What was it that blew you away when it came to learning about this protocol? I know you've had a really unique story and how it's impacted you. You've had quite a transformation here.
It's completely changed my life. People says, well, how has it changed your life? I went from dying to living. There's just no other way to put it. My mother died at 33. Her sister died in her 30s, and I got a cousin right now in the same family on the same side. He's in a nursing home right now. He's 36 years old, and he's dying.
Oh my goodness.
He's down to 83 pounds. And last year, I was going live on another business I had online, and me and Michael got acquainted. A guy named Michael Martin. He's also in the Feel Great system. He's saying that I couldn't go live anymore. We had done swap numbers at that time because we were supporting each other back and forth and social media friends. And he called me, and I said, well, I can't talk really no more than it was max about 3 minutes. I just couldn't breathe. And he said, what's wrong? So I told him the quickness of it. And I said, well, I'm dying. I said, I'm on oxygen. I said, my body's completely been over. And I said, I got type 2 diabetes, and I've got high blood pressure. I've got high cholesterol. My testosterone had bottomed out. My sugar levels was crazy. My blood pressure was 220 over 180. I had skin tags all over my neck. And my wife and my son, I was completely bent over. My wife and my son, I was walking like I was 95 years old. And my wife and my son would just get me up out of the car just as easy as possible they could. And they'd walk me in the house and set me down. And, I didn't lose weight. I didn't lose weight when I was sick. I was actually 247 pounds, and I could never lose weight. And so, but I got on this product, and I thought it was honestly, I'm just am what I am. I thought it was a Ponzi scheme. And I thought, well, I did home health care for 14 years. And so I didn't know what was wrong with me. The doctor said, there's nothing else we know to do. You can go to the emergency room. I'll see you back in 7 days. So Michael Martin said, hey, I'll give you this for free. I said, well, ain't nothing free in Alabama. I'm going to take it. And so on day 7, So, on day 7, my wife didn't have to help me get out of the bed. She was sitting right here in this chair. She jumped up because I was taking a nap in the bed. Can y'all hear me?
Yep.
And she said, I didn't have to help you get up. I said, nope. And you didn't have to help me get out of the car this morning either, did you? She said, no, I didn't. And so that was day 7. On day 14, I laid my meds down. And on week 3, my skin tags fell off of my neck. And in the first 90 days, 54 pounds dropped from my body. Now I'm 70 pounds down and I maintain it. And in a lot of ways, I fell 19 again. And I'm 100 this morning. I was 177 pounds. I feel better than ever. I'm walking. I'm living without oxygen. And I'm standing straight up. I can just if this tripod wasn't in my way, I'd just get up and stand without a problem.
Wow.
Well,
I'm
we know
walking
because we've
6
seen your videos and you're exercising, and we want to hear about that later on. So,
Yes,
And
sir.
that's been pretty awesome, David. Thank you so much. So,
16 of my church friends has joined me, and they've all had significant insulin resistant symptoms that has completely changed.
that is awesome, David. That's awesome. I hope you're inviting them there. So everybody that's on here, this is really this is the gold right here. So you've heard a little bit from us, but we're going to hear from Dr. G about this. What is behind insulin resistance that we're talking about? What is it that's here? He knows this like nobody's business. And so y'all are in for a treat. And this is the time right now to start typing in the people that you want to invite as Dr. G is going to lay out this presentation that really gives the science behind this. So I'm going to start moving a few things around here. We're going to get this up, and we're going to disappear for a little bit and let Dr. G have the floor. It looks like put me up there, and I'm not sure why. Nobody wants to see that. So we're going to try to clear the deck here. Give us just a second.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Thank you guys. And Kendra and David, wow, what a great stories. It's almost too good to be true. And it sounds unbelievable, but you know what? Things like that have happened. So gums to gut. What is the oral systemic link? And what does periodontal disease have to do with systemic health? What does your dental health have to do with your medical health? A lot, actually, a lot. So let's dive into it. So this is one of my favorite quotes. I have a couple, and this I just added. So now I guess I have 3. And I'll let you guys read it. And what this for me said was, it's about prevention. It's about prevention, and rather than medication. And we're going to show you tonight, just like Ken talked about, we're going to give you the tools and some natural ways that you can improve your health. All right. So what is the oral systemic link? Well, by protecting your oral health, by keeping a healthy oral microbiome, we're able to protect our entire body, our systemic health. And because poor oral health and gum disease are visual indicators, they're actually markers that your dentist can see that contribute to metabolic syndrome. So let's talk about what metabolic syndrome is. Basically, it is if you have 3 out of these 5 risk factors or markers, and these are measurable either by a blood test or physically measuring it. So if your blood pressure is higher than 130/85, if your waist circumference is larger than half your height, what that looks like is if you're a man, it's greater than 40 inches. If you're a woman, it's greater than 35 inches. If your triglycerides are greater than 150, your LDL cholesterol, if you're a man, if it's less than 140, or a woman less than 150, and if you have a fasting blood glucose of greater than 110, 3 or more of those risk factors, unmedicated, okay, to be counted as healthy, that's how we do it, then you are metabolically unhealthy. And you're not alone, because 93% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy. And what that looks like is, if you were going to work today, or you're coming home from work today, and 10 cars pass you, 9 of them are metabolically sick, and they they probably don't even know about it. And heart disease is the leading cause of death in this country, despite statins, which is the most prescribed medication for heart disease and cardiovascular disease. it's still the leading cause of death, and it's been going on for years. Now, I know that says 2020 and 2026. I haven't updated the slide, but I'm pretty sure it's still the same. So, but if your meds were working, I want you to remember that if the meds were working, this statistic shouldn't be this way. It shouldn't be this issue. So, what else is going on? Something else is going on. And what this is right here is what I call the plagues of prosperity. Okay. So, one thing they're not talking about or that's being addressed is the root cause. And all of these conditions, these chronic conditions, they're related, but they're all are treated individually. And they're related because the root cause here is insulin resistance for these conditions. And you go to your doctor, you're going to be given a pill for every one of these things, a pill for every ill, and they're treated separately. But before we then, get that diagnosis that Alzheimer's disease or arthritis or PCOS or, even migraines or heart disease, things are going on behind the scenes. And oftentimes 10 to 15, even 20 years before that, we get that big diagnosis. This is what's going on. And let's talk a little bit about what is insulin and what is insulin resistance. Now, when I was in school 30 plus years ago, we knew about insulin. We knew what insulin was. It's a hormone, right? It's associated with diabetes. That's what we knew. But insulin resistance, we weren't taught. So that's when I got this additional education in insulin resistance and metabolic health, is when I found all of this out. So insulin's a hormone. It's secreted by the beta cells of your pancreas. When we eat, our food is broken down into glucose, and it's insulin's job, it's released from the pancreas to carry that glucose into the cell for energy. All of our cells need this, okay, in order to get energy. So insulin is the key that basically opens up the receptor or the lock on the cell to allow the glucose to come in. That's when it's working properly. That's when everything's perfect and going well. With insulin resistance, there's too much glucose and insulin in the bloodstream. And the reason why is because the cells are already full with glucose. They don't need any more. So when the insulin, the key goes to unlock that receptor of the cell, the cell doesn't want any more glucose. And it says, no, we don't want it. But see, what happens is insulin still has a job to do. Insulin has to figure out where are they going to put this excess glucose. And so glucose and insulin rise in the bloodstream, and insulin then decides, well, let's put this glucose in your organs. Let's start with the liver and then go to the kidneys, and then even stored in the skin. And all of this is being stored as fat. Okay. So what happens is you start to get blurred vision, your thirst increases, you start to have, you're hungry all the time. You can't ever get full. It seems like, no matter what you do, you cannot lose weight. And this is why one of the things, like we talk about calories in and calories out, that's not it. It has nothing to do with math. It has everything. It's not a math problem. It has everything to do with the hormone of insulin. It's a fat storage hormone. So it's storing things as fat. Another thing, though, it is a growth hormone. David talked about his skin tags. So it makes things grow. So you start to see changes in your skin where you get the thicker skin or darkening skin. Skin tags, that's a sign of insulin resistance. Hair growing in places that it shouldn't be. We don't think of that, but that's a sign as well. And then you start getting an underlying layer of fat, and also that visceral fat, that big old belly, that kind that wraps around your organs, okay? And with the blurred vision and the brain fog and all those things that, that were on the plagues of prosperity, you start to feel full of inflammation and joint pain. And you're like, well, I'm not feeling well, so I'm going to go to the doctor. All right. And you get your physical done. You go to the doctor and you just say, I just don't feel good. What is wrong with me? But everything comes back. Your cholesterol is normal. Your blood pressure is normal. Your A1C is normal. It's less than 5.7. So you're not even in the prediabetes range. Okay. It's all good. The problem, though, is that things are going on behind the scenes. And even though on this slide it says optimal level of below 5.7, I like to say that between 5 and 5.7, you're still not in the clear yet. You still have a 30% increase for a cardiovascular risk. And that's because your body's trying to tell you something. It's trying to tell you that this is just, something's going on, but no one can figure it out. And so you leave, you're deflated, you go to it's called the land, I call it, of aggravation. Something's happening, but nothing you can do about it. Feels like that anyway. But the reason is because they're checking for or I should say not the wrong thing, but they're not checking for one simple thing. They're looking at your glucose levels. They're not looking at your insulin level. Okay. And that's one of the things that they need to look at. So what happens over time? What happens over time? You then start to need those medications because they treat everything separately, right? And in fact, in 2013, they changed the guidelines for statin medications. In fact, when you can read this down here in the highlighted section, adults 40 to 75 years of age without with LDL cholesterol, excuse me, from 70 to 189, and without any history of diabetes or any risk of diabetes, and an estimated risk, without an estimated 10-year risk of cardiovascular disease, they still put them on a statin as a precautionary measure. All right. That's why so many people were coming into my office and they were diagnosed with, I guess, high cholesterol, and they were put on a statin. All right. And then over time, what happens is you start then being diagnosed with a lot of things, and then you're put on more and more medication. Now that this PharmaLoop is an example of some of the things that I saw. And in fact, some of these medications are the side effects that are contributing to your diagnosis of these chronic conditions. And I say that because I'm getting ready to explain it to you. So with the statin medication being the most popular, okay, we'll start there. So you've gone to the doctor and you've been diagnosed with high cholesterol. And then not long after that, you're diagnosed as a pre-diabetic and hypertension, because they kind of go hand in hand. And we'll explain that later as well. But then all of a sudden you start getting a tingliness in your hands and your feet. And you're diagnosed with neuropathy, and they give you gabapentin for that. And then I know Kendra talked about acid reflux and anxiety and depression. So you get diagnosed with that and they put you on medication, omeprazole, and then anxiety, depression, whatever one you're needed, you get those medications. You develop a cardiac arrhythmia, so they put you on another high blood pressure medication, a beta blocker this time, which is metoprolol. There's some other ones. And then you go back for your physical, and then you're a full-blown type 2 diabetic. You're like, well, what happened? Now, this PharmaLoop could be years. It could be within a year or 2 years. And what's going on is when you're medicated, when they medicate you with those medications, they are not free from side effects. And oftentimes those side effects lead to other problems. Example, the statin medication that they gave you for cholesterol has a side effect of insulin resistance, which leads to prediabetes. So they put you on metformin. Metformin, though, has a side effect, one of many, actually, along with statins. Statins also have many. That was just one. But one of many of the side effects of metformin is it decreases B12 absorption. We need B12. We need B12 for our nerves to function normally. And so then that's why you develop a neuropathy, okay? Meanwhile, your blood pressure is increasing, or it's not doing the same thing, so they may put you on another medication with that. With acid reflux, what's happened is you have dysbiosis of your microbiome, and they add, that omeprazole, but it causes more of a problem because the neurotransmitters to help with your anxiety and depression, to keep that from happening, that's dopamine and serotonin, which are produced in the gut, are not working effectively. It's not, the neurotransmitters aren't produced effectively. So that's why you get anxiety and depression. So they put you on that. And that arrhythmia, one of the side effects of high cholesterol, one of the side effects of statins is the decrease in production of CoQ10. That is important for cardiac rhythm. It also helps with muscle soreness and fatigue. So that was one of the side effects of that. In addition to the side effect of insulin resistance that your statin caused, your omeprazole or your esomeprazole, that also has the side effect of insulin resistance. So that's when you get those A1C values back and you are a type 2, full-blown type 2 diabetic. So, like I said before, it's a pill for every ill. I'm not against drugs, believe me. Drugs have a time and a purpose. Antibiotics are a wonderful advancement in medicine. I'm anti-pharma. I don't like polypharmacy. I think one thing leads to the next thing, and the next thing you know, you're on all these medications. Think of it this way. If your medication was working, you should not need a refill. So what is the oral systemic link? What is the connection between periodontal disease, gum disease, heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, and things like that? What does it all have to do? Are they all connected? Yes, they are. Yes, they are. So let's start where digestion begins. So with digestion, okay, we're talking about proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. Proteins and fats, though, are digested in the stomach and small intestine. So for our purposes here, we are talking about carbohydrates. Carbohydrate digestion begins in the mouth, okay? It's broken down by salivary amylase, which is a enzyme in your saliva. It's broken down into simple sugars, and those simple sugars, the bacteria in your mouth love those simple sugars. So the bacteria and the byproducts form dental plaque. That's that white sticky stuff that sticks on your teeth and your gums. If you rub your tongue on your teeth right now, you'll probably feel it. It's probably there. So what happens over time, that plaque, as it sits on your teeth and gums, it causes inflammation. And the elevated cytokines then and the white blood cells look at this. They look at it as a site of trauma or some type of injury, and it wants to go and help. It wants to, heal that area. So they're released and they go to that area, but you continue to eat and you're not brushing in a timely manner, or you're not brushing effectively. So that plaque builds up on your teeth and your gums. Increased inflammation leads to pro-inflammatory cytokines. So the bacteria and those pro-inflammatory cytokines, along with the bacterial byproducts, they disrupt your insulin pathways in the bloodstream. And then when those insulin pathways, insulin can't unlock that receptor on that cell to get the glucose in the cell, blood sugar increases, which leads to diabetes for one thing. It can also lead to heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, and all of those other things. One of the things that was found with periodontal disease, or patients that had periodontal disease is a bacterial infection, and it's caused by a bacteria called P. gingivalis. And when patients who were diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease, heart disease, and diabetes, it was found that there was a link and connection between that bacteria in all of those types of patients. So when you have periodontal disease with the diabetes, the contributing factor, it's because it's bidirectional. And what I mean by that is that if you have periodontal disease, or if you have diabetes, basically, you are at risk for developing periodontal disease. And if you have periodontal disease, you are at risk for developing diabetes. If you have diabetes, you are 2 to 3 times more likely to develop periodontal disease due to the slowing down of the circulation and your inflammation. And you are immunocompromised when you're diabetic. In other words, you are more susceptible to infections. Periodontal disease is a bacterial infection, okay? With hypertension, the contributing factor with periodontal disease is also there, because insulin resistance will then impair nitric oxide production. And we need nitric oxide. It helps with vasodilation in our blood vessels. So what also happens if the blood vessels don't dilate, they become rigid, and they also become very thick. So insulin also then, with hypertension, tells the kidneys, let's store some sodium. We need to store that salt, hold on to it. And where salt is stored or sodium is stored, water will follow. And so you have an increase in blood volume. So with an increase in fluid, narrow, stiff vessels, this makes it harder for the blood to flow through them, and it causes an increase in blood pressure. It's kind of like having that water hose that is, closed off at the end, but the faucet's still going. All righty. And lastly, the connection that's between periodontal disease and Alzheimer's disease, that oral bacteria and the byproducts, along with those cytokines in the blood that are circulating, they go to the brain and they can cross that blood-brain barrier. And what happens is, then that triggers neuroinflammation to trigger the formation of beta amyloid plaque formation. It disrupts brain function and accelerates cognitive decline. And you're probably saying, well, oh gosh, how can we fix this? What do we do? What can we do? What's the solution? Well, we can bridge the gap. And that's what we're going to talk about right now. And bridging the gap with dietary and lifestyle changes. And there are natural solutions I know that Ken is going to talk about with the Feel Great system, and how we can do this without those side effects, without medications.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. G. So here's the thing that I want to think about. I know this is kind of like a big discussion right now, is this whole shift, right? We've had this movement from the food pyramid now to the food funnel, as I like to say. I know we're talking about flipped it upside down. The crazy part about this, when we really look at this is not as big a change as we make it out to be. In 2010, the MyPlate came out and really said pretty much the same thing. The biggest thing that comes out of this as the food pyramid is really thinking about making a priority on fiber and proteins. That's how this really shakes out, which is exactly what, when we look at it, that is what the studies from the Ohio State, from UCLA, and even from the CDC, that fiber is the carbohydrate that helps to control blood sugar levels. So when we look at the new food funnel and the new food pyramid, what we're doing is we're addressing that. The biggest thing that we've got to deal with is the whole issue of grains and processed foods and carbohydrates. In essence, kind of the crap that we've been eating all this time. And when we think about it, the way that we've been eating has been this constant modern diet dilemma that we've been taught to eat. And I don't know if y'all would type in the comment below the word 3 or the number 3 or 6. How many, and this is not what you're eating right now, but how many meals a day were you taught to eat? What have you heard? Were you taught to eat 3 meals and 2 healthy snacks, or 6 small meals during the day? And what we've seen is we constantly have this up and down spiking, as Dr. G was saying, of our blood sugar levels and how it's impacting us. And the biggest thing is that fiber has been removed from our diet. Those good, complex fibers that, when we look at the picture down below, we are taught we drink apple juice thinking we're drinking something healthy, when in fact what we're doing is we're drinking sugar water. We're eating rice thinking we're eating something healthy, when the bran and the fiber has been removed from it. And so what we've got is this modern food dilemma that we have to address. And so I want to bring on Kendra, who is going to talk a little bit more about the protocol. And let's see if I can let's bring Kendra on and bring that. Kendra, are you there?
I'm right here.
You are right there. Let's bring you up and let's put us all here together and allow you that opportunity. There you go. So Kendra, would you kind of unpack a little bit now? What is the protocol that we've been talking about?
Yep. So what we start out with is a yerba mate tea. And you can drink this in hot, cold, or room temperature water. It's an anti-inflammatory, an appetite suppressant. It boosts your energy naturally. It reduces your brain fog, regulates your blood pressure, and it does so much more for you. And then, like Ken was talking about, and Dr. G, they were talking about fiber. Well, we have a fiber matrix that has 7 soluble and insoluble fibers in it, plus prebiotics. And what that technically is designed to do is to slow the absorption and the digestion down of your food. And it helps keep your glucose, your insulin, and your cholesterol levels from spiking. Like they were saying, we do need medicine for some things, but why are we refilling it if it's not working? So these products can be taken with medicine, and these products are in the PDR.net. And what that is it's the physician's desk reference or the physician's digital reference. And it's either that big, thick book that the doctor has up on his desk, his or her desk at their office, and it lists all the prescriptions. We are in there with our company as an all-natural nutraceutical plant and fruit-based product with absolutely no side effects. Here's the crazy part. The medicine that your doctor prescribes you, those are all synthetic. They're created in a lab and they have side effects. Now, I know it's 2026, but in 2023, $1.607 trillion was spent in the pharmaceutical area. Can you imagine what it would be right now? So the yerba mate tea actually increases your fat burning mode in a fasted state by 70%. The fiber matrix reduces the need for a lipid lowering medicine such as your statin medicine. Now, I just want to throw this out there because I know there's people watching from several different areas. If someone invited you here, or if you follow someone, make sure when you order that you use that person's referral link for 3 reasons. 1, you get a discount every time you order. 2, you get a 90-day money-back guarantee. And 3, you actually get a coach for free to help you through your health journey. When you place your order, you're going to be getting 60 of the yerba mate tea. And kind of a little teaser, we have a few different flavors right now, not just lemon. You also get 30 of the balance. You get a diamond unicity bottle, and they give you a hand mixer that goes along with it. This is going to sound like a lot of money, but technically when I explain it, it's not. It's $159 a month plus tax, and shipping is free. What that equals out to is about $5.30 a day. Let me give you a little personal thing of my own. I've saved probably about $300 a month on my grocery bill because I don't eat half as much as I used to. Another part of it is if you have a health savings account or a flexible spending account, you can use that. You can also change your order for a different day of the month to be shipped once you do your subscription, or you can cancel it. It's entirely up to you. The yerba mate tea, which we're sipping on throughout the day, has the same natural effects as if you were taking OWM shots or metformin. The fiber matrix that we're drinking, this actually has the same natural effects as if you were taking a statin medicine. Here's a side note on that. If you know someone who's taking metformin, like Dr. G said, actually causes vitamin B12 deficiency. Vitamin B12 deficiency is the leading cause of neuropathy. So people are always asking, what do we do and how do we take these products? First of all, I want you to know, don't let this scare you, because listen till the end. So what we're doing is we're actually fasting for 16 hours and we're eating 2 meals within an 8-hour time frame. So here's an example. When we're done eating at 8 o'clock at night, you're going to sleep. So there's most of your fasting time. When you get up in the morning, you want to take your yerba mate tea, dump it into anywhere from 16 to 40 ounces of water. You make it how you like it to taste. Once you're done drinking this, sipping on this for the first 3 to 4 hours of your day, you're actually going to take your second one and sip on that for the second 3 to 4 hours of your day. In that meantime, you might be ready to eat your lunch. We prefer, just to help you out more, that you're actually going to be eating a high protein meal when you break your fast at your lunchtime. The only reason for that is because if you're going to be eating a lot of carbs, let's make it simple. Carbs turns into sugar. Sugar spikes your glucose. Now we just defeated the whole entire purpose of why we even fasted. So an example a lot of us do is we eat our breakfast food like eggs, bacon, sausage at lunchtime. It just makes it easier. At that time, you'll still be sipping on your second tea, and it actually will quiet that food noise and hopefully keep the cravings away. Then we do not snack between lunch and supper time. And then here's the easiest part. Right before supper, you're going to take your balance. You're going to dump it into about 6 to 8 ounces of cold water. Shake it and chug it. Don't let it sit. Just chug it. And it actually tastes good. Then you're just going to enjoy your food. What we're doing to make it so simple is we're not counting calories. We do not count points. We do not count macros. We do not weigh our food, and we do not measure our food. I get a lot of questions from a lot of people. Well, can I still drink my coffee? Absolutely. Yes, you can. And there's several ways you can do that without breaking your fast in the morning. You're going to drink it black with heavy whipping cream, Jordan skinny syrup, allulose sugar, or a stick of cinnamon. Those are the different ways you can drink your coffee without breaking your fast, and then start sipping on your tea right after that. hopefully that helps you. If you have questions, reach out to one of us.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I always say, I'm going to bring David on. I always say there's really 4 questions when it comes to health that I really encourage people to ask. I call it the 4 E's. How are you eating? How are you exercising? What are your extras and who are you encouraging? And the one thing that I'm excited about David on is because so many of his videos are about exercising. What has this done for you, David? You really are really providing an education on metabolic exercises. I mean, you've blown me away watching you and your videos. Tell us a little bit about how the system has done that and what these exercises have done for you. Take just a couple minutes and share with us.
It's hard to follow Dr. G and Dr. Kendra over here. Y'all explained it so good into the science, and I'm not about the science of it, as much as, y'all are, but try to do it the best I can, and try to learn that, hey, sometimes I know we don't, as Dr. C says, no snacky between meals. And so that has been, that alone has changed the progression of me. But what I've noticed for myself is, like, if I go and do I need to move myself right there?
No, you're
Is that
good.
better?
You're good.
So
You're
for
good.
myself, like, I did a 70-hour fast, and that was my own, I just come out of that yesterday. So I broke it with a steak and I broke it with eggs. But you guys know, like she said, the fiber has been stripped from our food. So even though you're eating these things from the store, you're still going to get carbohydrates from your food. You're still going to get, because we know our food produces sugar, the things that we don't really need in our body. But what I've noticed for me that I've implemented since we was in Vegas, I've talked to a lot of doctors up there and done a lot of research, and other people that I follow, is that after every single meal, and I know that everybody can't do this, everybody don't have a treadmill or a walking pad, or they're at their office desk, and so here's what you need to do. For me, that I've learned, and I've implemented this to my team that I have under me, is that after every meal, do 30 calf raises. And Dr. G, I want you to tell them, I'm going to let you take over my conversation for a minute. Tell them why that really matters, and then I'll jump back in.
Oh, hold on. Are you muted? There we go.
Okay. Well, David, that's awesome. I'm glad you brought that up, because that alone, just sitting down, that alone, that muscle just loves glucose. It thrives on that. And if you were to just do that, you could sit at your desk, and just raise your feet so that your heels are off the floor, and just use the balls of your feet. That alone will help, with exercise, and decrease that insulin spike, decrease that glucose spike. I'm so glad you brought that up.
So
it's actually been said that that's like your second heart.
Yeah.
Yes.
That your calf. That was fascinating to hear that. All right, David, go back more.
So what I've added to that, now I've worked myself up. Instead of sitting down, I stand up and do those. When I started 30, oh boy, I went from not walking last year to now I'm walking, but man, I lost lots of muscle. So I used to be able to pick up 100-pound dumbbell with each arm. I was very strong. Now I've got a 15-pound dumbbell, and I can only pick it up 10 times with this arm, and made it to 7 times with this arm. But I've been through a lot of massive therapy, and I've learned a lot of things. And so, but what I do now, I was only doing 30 of calf raises, and now I'm up to 100. But instead of pushing myself to 100, I'll do about 50, and I do it standing up, and then I sit down and I ride my bike. You may not have a bike. You're not going to go get on the bike. Half of us has got this lazy-itis going on, but you're doing your calf raises about 30, and then you're going to ride your bike sitting down with your feet. So you're still working your calves. And then what I do is let's just say you're looking at my legs. Okay. So I'm doing these calf raises 30. Then I'm doing about 10 or 15 of these bicycles. Then I immediately sit back down and I'm raising my legs like this and not with my back pressed here. And so that's not just what, now this is my added, there may not be no science to this, but this is what I figured out for myself. Is so my goal, I feel good now. My goal for 2026 is to look good. So, but if that causes a little pride, it's just going to happen. Okay. So my goal is to tighten my stomach up because I've lost 70 pounds from here. I didn't have any weight to lose from my waist down. It was just from here, to my belt loop, so to speak. And so now what I want to do is tighten up what's left there. To me, there's a lot left there. So what I'm doing now is I raise my back up and go this way, and so that's working, and riding that bike, that's working those abs and tightening that gut up, And so I do these things all day long after every meal. Of course, I only eat 2 meals a day, but I'll find myself doing this just randomly whenever and whatever because it works. And so, of course, my wife, she used to do that Richard Simmons, and I ain't gonna do no Richard Simmons.
Oh my gosh.
I've got her over. I'm over here doing this, and she's laughing at me. Now she's over there doing her Richard Simmons, and I'm laughing at her. So
well, I'm glad you get to do it together, right?
Oh my God.
But it does
awesome.
really, these things work. It's simple, simplified things. What I've learned from a lot of people that I follow that, that weren't maybe not on the same chapter, but still reversing insulin resistance, some other guys that I talk to, it's not about over exaggerating your body. It's just getting to that point that's working your calves, working the things, simple things. Now, lifting 200 pounds like I used to do, it didn't get me nowhere. And so now, of course, I was very strong. My son can lift 700 pounds, but I wasn't walking, and now I can walk. Yeah. So I wasn't walking. Now I can walk 6 miles a day. But I started off with, I don't know, maybe a quarter of a mile, and it was so hard, but I was proud of myself. But then I increased, just like 30 calf raises, now I'm up to 100. I can do 100 without even thinking about it. And so just doing that. But now I backed off to doing 50, the bicycles, throwing my legs up and down. And I'm also, back in school, let me turn this just a little bit. Can you see my arm?
Yep.
Back in school, they had us to stand up and do this right here. I didn't think nothing about that. I thought that was crazy when I was just a teenager. Why are we doing this wasteful stuff? But when you have no strength left in your arms and you're trying to burn those calories off that you're getting from the food that you're eating, because we know, and it's just my thoughts, guys. This is not what we're doing here and what we're teaching about. We're learning as we go. And so here's the thing: you got science behind the products. You got the results as proven by me and Kendra and all these people. We've met thousands of people. All this stuff works. But as we go, we want this, and I know this sounds awful to say, but I'm just being honest, okay? This product is not a miracle worker. We ain't but one miracle worker. And so we have to implement daily changes in our life if we want life-lasting effects. So, doing those small exercises, swapping up your meals, it'll and improving your sleep. These things we need to improve on: sleep, the way we eat, the way we exercise. That, along with this product, it's a fail-proof product. If you put your daily effort into it, whether it's the hand-to-mouth disease or whether it's the lazy-itis or eating your Swiss rolls, you've got to change these things, okay?
It's peanut butter, man. It's the peanut butter wafers. That's the one right there. We definitely. Well, let's throw out. So those of y'all that are coming in, y'all may be coming. If you've got questions, you guys have been listening to. There's been a lot of people have been following some comments and stuff. You guys have listened to some great stories here that have been a part of this. This is, I think, the one thing we don't stress enough, that everybody in here has been on this journey, and knowing each and every one of us here, to some degree or another, we have come face to face with the Grim Reaper in our lives. The Grim Reaper has been very personal to us. each and every one of us. So this is a very serious thing. We're not coming in here and talking about something that hasn't made a difference, because we've all been wanting to see that difference made. And we've been able to coach people. We've been able to talk to people, but we've been on the journey too. And so we're not kind of setting out as much as, people might look, and we're experts. We're people. We're human beings. So if you've got questions, as you all have, we've heard these stories, and you may be sitting there going, I've got some questions. Go ahead and put those in the comment. We're monitoring those. And some of y'all have, have some great conversation going there. Keep that up. But I want to throw it out there. We're kind of waiting for some questions. I'm going to throw it out to each and everybody here. What have been some of the questions that you've had that have been really, I always like to call it the questions of the week? As you've been talking recently to clients that you've been working with, and having those conversations, what have been some of the things that have come up in the course of conversations? And Kendra, I'm going to throw it out to you first. What has been a question that has been kind of risen to the surface recently?
Mine has been, how long has this been around, and where is it available? And it's been around for well over 30 years, because if people remember Rexall drugs, that's where this started, is the fiber matrix. That's where it started. And we're available in 63 countries and over 63 countries and 22 different languages.
Wow.
That's crazy. Isn't that awesome? That is awesome.
And Dr. it's just surfacing here.
I know. Yes. Isn't that nuts? It's and when you meet people, and I don't know if you have, and I know Dr. G has, meeting people that have been doing this product for that amount of time.
Yeah.
And they are like, they don't understand. Why is it that we haven't heard more about it? It's
right.
Crazy. But it's there. So Dr. G, what has been something that's come to the surface for you?
Well, I get this one all the time, and I know it sounds like I keep repeating it when we're on our lives, but I always get someone who asks me, what are the ingredients? And I find it quite interesting, because I'm a prescriber. I prescribe, I'm able to prescribe, and I prescribe drugs for 30 plus years. Right. Not once, whenever I prescribed medication, did I ever have anybody ask me, one, what was in it? And two, that's another thing, is will this interfere? Will the feel great system interfere with what I'm taking? Never, ever, when I prescribed a medication, did anyone ask me if it was going to interfere with what they were already taking. I find that very interesting. And my answer to them is, it is plants, vitamins, nutrients, and food. And no, there's no interactions. There's no side effects. The only side effect, I guess it would be a secondary effect, is that's weight loss. Because once your body's working the way it's supposed to, it doesn't want all that. It doesn't want fat. It's going to use their fat for fuel. That's a secondary fuel source.
That's cool. Wow. David, what about you? What's been something that's kind of been a part of conversations?
My mind was rolling as David was talking. I do want to say this real quick. I'll spend 15 seconds with it that I didn't say a while ago. Those 30 to 45 calf raises is equivalent to 10 to 15 minutes of a good pace walk. Okay. So it's good if you can do that. And so, but anyways, how long you got to be on this product? Well, this is how I answer that question. Because I had an uncle, he said, how long got to be on this product? He said, mail me a box. So I mailed him a box. And I said, well, I've been on this product. At that time, I've been on the product maybe 4 months. I'd lost like 60 pounds. And I said, for me, I'm off of $5,000 worth of meds a month. I'm no longer eating breakfast. I was addicted to $5.26 a day of chicken biscuits from Jack's. And let me tell you, if you don't know what that is, this is addictive as a Swiss roll. It's awesome.
Man, you like them Swiss rolls, dude. You love them Swiss rolls. No.
Hey, I say Swiss rolls because my wife's addicted.
Oh! You're throwing her under the bus. That's just wrong, man.
I am not. Listen, I've had in 7 months. It's the facts. If you don't believe me, come live with me. Hey, you're welcome. There's an extra bedroom. Listen, I've only had breakfast. Twice. But it was not until my 16 hours up of my fasting that I do every day by choice. Here's the thing. I do not desire food before 11 or 12 o'clock. The food noise is quietened. I'm satiated. My body's in fat burning mode, as Miss Kendra told us earlier. My ketones is increased by 60%. My life has changed. My voice has changed. I'm breathing. I'm living. My skin tags are gone. My testosterone's at an all-time high. I sleep better than ever. Why would I want to ever quit a product that's all natural that has no known side effects? Come on.
There it
Hey,
is.
if
There it
nothing
is.
changes, if nothing changes, then nothing changes. And if you don't change it, your kids are going to inherit it.
Yep. Yep.
Brother,
Bravo to that. I
that
was
is
monitoring the chat just a minute ago, and I see that Kim Jackson said that her A1C went from an 8 to a 4.5 at 63 worked. This worked for me. FGS saving one life at a time. Bravo for that. That's pretty amazing.
that is
There was
awesome.
another comment as well. Sheena, I know that Sheena had suffered with gastroparesis, and she said that in the first week, she wasn't throwing up anymore. So that's a win. Let me tell you, if anybody
time.
has been experienced or been associated with someone who they know that has gastroparesis, not fun at
Right.
all.
My
Right.
daughter had acid reflux her whole life. She no longer has it, and her hair has grown 6 inches, and that's the facts.
Isn't
There
that
it is.
amazing? Yep.
Wow. Well, we're coming to the end of our time. And so with it, I want to say just a couple of notes to kind of do this little housekeeping. And Kendra brought this up, and I brought this up at the beginning. If you would like to know more about the Feel Great system, this protocol that is life-changing, and you have heard it from 4 different people here, we're going to be back again. And like I said, this live is something that we're doing regular, and we'd like to get as many people here to learn about this. But if you're wanting to know more about this, if somebody invited you here, we really encourage you to get with that person. They invited you because they care about you. And if you're coming in there and you've stumbled across this and you know one of us in here, or you resonated with us and you're like, what is this Feel Great system? What is this that we've been talking about? You can find each and every one of us right here. You've got David Whitmire. You've got Kendra Crop. You've got Dr. Lauren Gagliano. You got Ken Hagler, the wellness preacher. We are here, and we want to make life better for you because made life better for each and every one of us. The reason we tell about this, we can't keep quiet because we've had our lives changed, and we want that for you. I'm going to give everybody a chance, and one sentence. You got to keep it to one sentence, and this is not a run-on sentence. You guys get 1 minute, one sentence. I'm going to give you a minute, one sentence to give me something tight. What is one thing you want to tell everybody as we sign off today? All right, David, I'm going to let you start this. You got to keep it one sentence, brother.
Go first, Kendra. Let's go.
No, I gave it to you, David. No, you don't get to pass it.
I don't know what to say. I'll have to come back to me.
I would say, honestly, if anybody is skeptical, you have a 90-day money-back guarantee.
Yeah.
And another thing I should have mentioned earlier is that I've talked to several people from several different areas, not even my customers, but people I've just met out in general. And they're saying that they're saving money on their health expenses, like going to the doctor, copay medicine, deductibles, all that stuff. You're going to save money. Like I said, I save over $300 just in grocery bill because I don't take a lot of medicine, but just try it. And we're going to help you through your health.
Yep.
Oh, I think we froze, Kendra. All right, Dr. G.
What have you got to lose? Like Kendra said, 90-day money back guarantee. What have you got to lose? Don't wait.
Right. David, it's on you, buddy. You got to come up with something.
It's like this. Y'all have heard the proof. You've heard the science. We've got a guarantee. It's all natural products. It's located in the PDR where your doctor prescribes your medication anyways. He's making the choice not to prescribe it to you. We've talked about it. If you've been following me, you've here because of I've invited you. Look, you've been watching me went from dying to living. You see that 70 pounds just dropped from my body, and you know how I eat if you know me. So here's the thing, guys. Look, you got the guarantee. You got the results. What more do you want?
There you go.
The choice is in your hands. The choice is in your hands, or the link in one of our bios.
All right. This is mine.
Yep.
If you were here last week, you heard it. Dolly Parton, if you are tired of the road that you're on, pave another path. We've given you the way to pave that path. This is a path forward. This is the path forward. Thank y'all so much for being here on Science and Stories tonight. It's been awesome having you here. Please get in touch with any one of us here. And if you don't know how to do that, whatever platform, message me, and I will get you in touch with the person in here that you need to get in touch with. Thank you, David. Thank you, Dr. G. And thank you, Kendra, all for being here. We're signing off. Go get the day and make it golden. Everybody say goodbye now. We're leaving.
Bye now.
I know.
Good night, everybody.